Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to film for you my Disney story. So for this video, I just kind of wanted to go over how Disney has affected my life, the story of how I came from being a little kid in Disney World to working for the company this summer. So I'm just gonna go through and yeah, talk about, I guess, my Disney life. So Disney has been really big for me ever since I was little. I remember always being the characters for Halloween. I had a Snow White dress, a Cinderella dress. I remember just wanting to watch the VHS movies all the time. I had a bunch of like princess themed birthday parties too, and I really wanted to go to Disney World. You always saw the commercials on TV and I wanted to go. So the first time we went to Disney World was in 2007. I was 9 years old and my sister was 6 at the time. So I was tall enough to go on all the rides. My sister was not tall enough to go on the larger height rides. I remember we stayed off-site at a hotel that at the time was called the Holiday Inn Sunspree Resort. It's now called the Holiday Inn Lake Bonavista. Vista. But they had these castle suite rooms. So our room had like a castle inside of it, and inside of that was a set of bunk beds and a single bed. So me and my sister had our own little separate room, and then our parents had like the queen bed out there in the main room, and yeah, that was our hotel for the week that we were there. I also remember we had a huge hassle with getting into the park with tickets. Our very first day, I guess our travel agent did not arrange our Disney tickets properly, so we got at the park right when it opened, but we were not able to actually get in, so we were stuck at the Transportation and Ticket Center. All of us, we went down with our neighbors, so there were 4 kids sitting on this bench looking across Bay Lake, looking at the castle, not being able to get in. We sat there for, what, like an hour or two, I think, at least. It might have been closer to 3 hours that we were sitting there. I don't remember exactly, obviously. And I remember when we first got in the parks, and my first ride ever was Space Ranger Spin. 2 years later, we went down to Florida again. We stayed at a hotel called the Caribe Royale, but the main thing about this trip was that the whole family could ride all the rides. This trip was also our very last time in Toontown because soon after we left, they closed down to create new Fantasyland. On my next trip, I was 13 years old, and it was in May of 2011. Both my other 2 trips were also in May, I don't think I previously said that. But we stayed at the Staybridge Suites Orlando, still off-site, and we stayed for a week. One unique thing about this trip, though, was we also went to Discovery Cove Aquatica and SeaWorld on that trip. And then also for that trip, New Fantasyland was all closed. I believe like the Dumbo section was open again. And another thing about that trip is that's when I started to learn about different things online to do with Disney. I started learning about touringplans.com. That was a huge one. I printed out all the touring plans before we left, and I knew what the crowd levels were going to be on every day and that stuff. And then I'd also learned about hidden Mickeys. That was a new thing I'd learned about, so I was all about scouting those out in the parks too. Our next trip was in August of 2012, and I had just turned 15 years old. So this was our first trip staying on site. We got an amazing deal, and we were able to stay at the Contemporary in the Garden View wing. This is by far the best trip I've ever had to Disney. It sticks out in my mind as the best trip we've ever had. We had very low expectations for staying on a resort. I'm not sure why. But having those low expectations and always staying off-site, just suddenly being jumped right to the Contemporary was amazing. We had the monorail right there. We ate at Chef Mickey's a bunch of times. This was also our first time on the dining plan. We had never done character dining before, never really ate on property because it was so expensive. So this time we had the dining plan. Everything was right there at our fingertips. And another cool thing about this trip is this is the trip that I believe I truly realized that this is where I need to be. Before it was great to go on vacation. It was like awesome, and yes, I'm going on vacation in Disney, like this is great, this is wonderful, this is amazing. But the Contemporary trip is where I realized that I wanted to do more than just vacation there, and I could potentially make a career out of Disney. I wanted to go into animation. I was super into animation because, okay, here's why I think I was in animation. Because when you think Disney, you think animation and animated movies, and I really loved art. Like I drew some Disney characters. I drew Disney characters all the time. Animation Academy and Hollywood Studios was like my favorite thing to do ever. In August of 2013, we stayed at the Port Orleans Riverside Resort. I was 16 years old. This was probably my worst Disney experience ever. Like absolute worst. The hotel sucked. I don't care anyone who says they like the Riverside. It sucks. Our room was far away. The buses were horrible. They went to like a million different stops around the resort before they'd even leave the resort. They were always full. They were always slow. The walk to our room was horrible. The food at the hotel, the quick service, was horrible. It was just bad. Next, in August of 2014, we stayed at the Art of Animation Resort. This is also one of my favorite resorts. It had opened the year before, I think, and it was absolutely amazing. We stayed in the Lion King suites. We loved having the suite layout because then we had like the sofa bed and the fold down bed and the main bed and the 2 bathrooms and the whole area to put our stuff in. It was great. We had a location that was nice and close to the main building. The quick service restaurant in the hotel is still my absolute favorite quick service restaurant to date. Their make your own pasta is amazing, and also the theming there is awesome too. Once again, I was super into animation, wanted to do animation. I was animation crazy, so like that hotel was absolutely perfect for me. And I still find it so awesome looking at all the walls and the character sketches and all that, and it's an amazing hotel. This was also the very first time I decided to vlog a Disney trip. So I had gotten into Disney YouTubers this summer before we left, so we went on the trip late August, so that whole summer I was just binge watching Disney YouTube videos. So I decided to vlog our trip. It's not online, we just did like family vlogs. So they're on like CDs or DVDs, I think, honestly. I'll see if I can get a clip to pop in here. I'm not sure if I'll be able to. That is also when New Fantasyland was finally open, so we got to see, I don't know if the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train was open, but like Little Mermaid was open and a couple other things. In August of 2015, we then stayed at the Wilderness Lodge. I was 18 years old at this point, and I was super excited to go to the Wilderness Lodge because this is the point where I had really started digging into more of the history of the Disney company and Walt Disney World specifically. So obviously I was learning all about, you know, River Country and Discovery Island, and I found those things super interesting and the whole history that Disney had behind it. Also, that hotel was awesome. It was a, we had a queen and a bunk bed room, which was great. Totally recommend. We had a pool view, but I don't think we paid for a pool view. I think we just got one. I did also vlog this trip, so actually these vlogs are posted on YouTube. They are on my main channel. I will put like a thumbnail of one of them right here, but they will be linked down below if you guys want to go watch them. They're a little rough. It was my first time vlogging ever. After that trip though, I moved away to college. So I went to Windsor for college for a year. I entered into animation and I was really excited for it. I thought like this is the dream. I'm gonna go to animation school for 3 years. Then I wanted to do travel and tourism for 2 years, get 2 diplomas, and the cool thing about St. Clair College in Windsor is when you do their travel and tourism program, you get to do the cultural exchange program as part of their program. I had also applied for the CEP my first year in St. Clair there. So I applied while I was in the first year of animation. I did not get in. I didn't even make it past the cover letter resume stage, or I got declined on that so fast. After doing a year at St. Clair, I realized that that is in no way, shape, or form where I want to be in my life. I hated it in Windsor. So after I moved back home, I then did my second year of college at Conestoga College, which is where I am right now in the graphic design degree program. And I kind of did realize that I still have a chance to work for Disney again. I realized that because I'm in the bachelor program, I can apply for the cultural exchange program. And that honestly, graphic design is a huge field and encompasses so many things that I could potentially work for Disney in the future if I wanted to still, which was awesome. So in August of 2017, I had just turned 20 years old, so just this past August, we went back to Florida and stayed at the Animal Kingdom Lodge. So this hotel was also pretty bad. We did not like the Animal Kingdom Lodge. The bus wait times were horrible. We didn't find a lot of food there that we liked to eat, like everyone in the family liked to eat. It was very much like, here's a burger, here's some chicken nuggets, here's fries, here's your waffles in the morning. Like there wasn't a huge selection for us to eat there. The hotel itself, we found the staff once again a little bit rude. Our luggage from the Magical Express when we got off our plane, our luggage took over 4 hours to get to our hotel room. Bus wait times were ridiculous. We were waiting 40 minutes to an hour for a bus, and we weren't even the first people there waiting. Some people were waiting well over an hour to an hour and a half for a bus. And that's not saying oh, there's a lineup, only so many people can get on a bus. No, you only saw one bus every hour to hour and a half. That's how ridiculous it was. However, that trip was still fun. I saw Happily Ever After for the first time and cried. I still cry every time I see it, whether it be online or in person. We then come to October 2017, so just this past October, and we were going on a trip to Florida, not necessarily Disney, but me and my mom were going down to Florida on October 20th. So literally the night of October 19th, I was looking for the cultural exchange program application. Anyway, because I was going down to Florida, it was on my brain, and I decided to look at the applications to see when they would open, because I was like, it has to be soon, come on. Anyway, I go on and I learned they literally close the next day. So here I am freaking out, writing my cover letter at 11 o'clock at night before I'm supposed to get on a plane at 7 a.m. the next day. Anyway, we left for that trip. We did a day in Magic Kingdom. It was great. We did a lot of outlet mall shopping, all that jazz, and then we came home, and in December I got my notification that I got my interview, and the rest is kind of history from there. So now I'm going to the cultural exchange program in 2018, and I can't wait to see what my Disney story has in store.